We're joined now from Strasbourg by the leader of the UK Independence Party, Nigel Farage. Mr. Farage, the Prime Minister may be a defeated man, but he's succeeded in uniting his own party and rallying such people as Mr. Schäuble, the most important man in Mrs. Merkel's cabinet, and many others across Europe, Finland, Poland, into saying it's unimaginable, unthinkable that Britain can fall out of the EU, and they will do everything possible to prevent it.
Well, first things first, I mean, to see the Tory backbenchers tribally cheering the Prime Minister, I don't think means very much, because for most of the country, the idea that we can use British influence to renegotiate a good deal for Britain, that really was shot to bits last week by losing 26-2. On the second point, I think a lot of the Northern European leaders, and you've mentioned the countries, are very scared. That Cameron, his whole agenda now looks so broken that they're trying to say, look, we'll do something, we'll go the extra mile, we'll try and make some concessions, because they're really scared about Britain leaving. They're scared that when Britain leaves and has a simple free trade agreement, that actually their countries will want to do the same thing. But here's the problem. The problem is this, that to convince the British people in a referendum to vote to stay in the European Union, Mr Cameron's going to have to achieve far more than Harold Wilson did 40 years ago.
But you've got a much bigger problem than he has. You have a much bigger problem than he has. You want a referendum. There's only one party that can win an election and get a referendum, and that is a fairly distant chance, but it is a chance, and that's the Conservatives. The Conservatives are making quite clear they will. Labour has refused to take your onion and called for a referendum. And they won't, and you've been banking on them doing so.
But we've heard all this before. You know, in 2009, Mr Cameron won the European elections with a cast-iron guarantee of a referendum. In 2011, he repeatedly said and three-line whipped his own backbenchers to vote against a referendum. Now he's for a referendum. So the track record there isn't terribly good.
Nevertheless, you are the obstacle. You are the obstacle to getting a referendum. Your candidates are going to be stealing votes from Conservatives, and that will weaken his chances of calling a referendum. That's inescapable. You're a logical man, Mr Farage. That's a fact.
Mr Cameron's conversion to a more Eurosceptic agenda would not have happened had it not been for the strength of UKIP.
That may be, but you've got the prospect of your referendum. You've got the prospect of your referendum. He is the only one that can deliver it, and you are the only people who can stop him.
Yeah, well, in 2011, he was completely opposed to it. Now he says he's for it. I would say there is still a very strong probability that the Liberal Democrats and Labour at the next election will match that promise.
But you've only got one option. If you sincerely believe in having a referendum, you have to tell your supporters, vote Tory.
Good Lord, and vote for the man that lied to us before on this very issue? I don't think so. The way we'll get a referendum is if UKIP is able, particularly in its target seats, to repeat the kinds of success we've had in the English county elections, the district council elections and the European elections, and we get enough UKIP MPs into Westminster to hold the balance of power. That's the way there will be a referendum. And I would also point out that this old-fashioned idea that UKIP picks up middle-class Tory votes is completely belied by the fact that the whole of South Yorkshire, went purple on May the 22nd. And in Wales, a strong Labour area, we finished up neck and neck with Labour.
Couple of quick ones. Who are you backing, Germany or Algeria?
Oh, I'm going to have to back Germany. After all, my wife is German.
So the Germans have you for there. Are you going to watch it in a bar? And have you ever been in a Brussels bar and met that other celebrated man with a pint, Mr Juncker?
I have met Mr Juncker, yes. I cross-thought at a cocktail party, yes. He is clearly a very social... He's a very social animal. But frankly, I think the whole debate about whether he drinks or smokes is frankly irrelevant. He's a
because you do both.
But it just doesn't matter, does it, really? You know, I mean, clearly smokers and drinkers can be on both sides of the argument. No, I mean, Mr Juncker wants a United States of Europe. The good thing about Mr Juncker is he doesn't hide it. He says it as he sees it. And in terms of the British debate, that's a good thing.
As indeed do you. Thank you very much, Nigel Farage, for joining us from Strasbourg.